So I wanted to start off with this last video of chapter 7, showing you a little bit more about bone formation and growth with these x-rays showing epiphyseal plates and epiphyseal lines. And on the left-hand side, you'll see the epiphyseal plates where there's still active growth going on, where the arrows are pointing within those fingers. I just think this really clearly demonstrates what the epiphyseal plate looks like. So this is exactly where growth will occur, where lengthening will occur in the bone. So those are places full of hyaline cartilage, and the cartilage is extending. So on the right side, we can see where there are no plates that have occurred, that there have disappeared and are now formed into epiphyseal line, just remnants of growth. So this is a individual who's older than the early 20s, and the individual on the left is probably much younger. So remember, we've talked about the idea of remodeling, because the first type of bone that's always put down is spongy bone. And in order to create compact bone, we have to first go through that spongy bone that is formed by osteoblast, and then osteoclasts need to disintegrate that bone, destroy it through enzymatic activity and with some acidic secretions as well. And then the osteoblast can rebuild the bone into a compact style. Now, bone, again, we've talked about this from the very beginning, is always dynamic, and it's continually renewing itself, changing itself. We're replacing old tissue with new tissue, and this happens throughout life. So during your entire life, there must always be this interaction of osteoblast and osteoclast, and hopefully it's going to be somewhat balanced out. If we get too much blast activity versus clast activity, our bones become too thick and heavy. Whereas on the other hand, we would end up with osteoporosis when osteoclast activity outpaces osteoblast activity. And you could get, if it's not too severe, you may end up with conditions like rickets or osteomalacia. I just want to remind you what a healthy bone looks like here. So this is beautiful, healthy bone. We have the middle portion that has the compact bone along the edges here. And then in the middle is the medullary cavity, where bone marrow in younger people will be maintained, red bone marrow. You have the periosteum that surrounds the entire bone. That's that two-layered tissue that has the outer layer of dense, irregular connective tissue that's acting protectively, and then the inner layer that is the cellular layer made up of osteoprogenitor cells, osteoclast, and osteoblast. At the epiphyseal ends of the bone, we have the spongy type of tissue that's surrounded by a thinner compact bone layer, but we have the epiphyses being mostly spongy bone. Still lots of blood vessels in these regions as well. So that's a good, healthy bone. Now, what happens when you break a bone or you fracture it? And it involves 4 steps. The first step is we're going to form a hematoma, a kind of clot. This is just an immediate reaction and a very minor attempt to stabilize the tissue surrounding the break. Then fibrocartilage. A little unusual here. We're not dealing with hyaline cartilage in a break. We have fibrocartilage that begins to form very quickly, resulting in what's called an external callus. And this callus then will lead to bony formation as it replaces the cartilage matrix. So we'll have spongy bone laid down, replaces the cartilage matrix, and finally then we'll remodel that spongy bone that was laid down in step 3 into compact bone. A nice little visual of this process is shown here. We have the formation of the clotting surrounding where the break has occurred. We then get the formation of the fibrocartilage callus, and then the bony callus, and then bone remodeling occurred. Now your repaired bone will always be a little thicker than the original bone was. Onward to chapter 11 and muscle contractions.